Does multilateralism, as we know it today, effectively address our common problems of security, inequity and inequality, exclusion, the climate crisis?
Whether it's the UN Security Council, climate financing, or vaccine equity, world leaders are increasingly calling for a more just world order.
The time has come for this institution to become more inclusive so that it can better respond to the needs of today's world. The United States supports increasing the number of both permanent and non-permanent representatives of the Council.
There is a need to reform aid to more fully reflect solidarity over charity, to shift from a colonial mode of fighting against poverty to a more solidarity-based model, global public investment.
It's a call people at the front line of humanitarian crises have been making for a long time, including right here on the Rethinking Humanitarianism podcast. Calls to change the circumstances that lead to the need for humanitarianism to begin with.
You can say whatever about the process of giving humanitarian aid and relief, but if you do not stop the reason why it appeared, it will appear in other parts of the world.
Calls to go beyond surface-level solutions to systemic problems.
You know, slavery is 400 years old. We really need to confront where our sector came from, the colonial roots of the sector. We live in a different time now. It is not equitable.
Calls to question the dominance of the global north in many of the world's institutions.
And the next wave is going to be values, isn't it? It's going to be adapting to the fact that the world shouldn't be run by the north.
I've heard it speaking to recipients of humanitarian aid around the world over the years. They don't just want bags of rice and tarpaulin. They want changes to the geopolitical architecture that leaves their countries in need in the first place. That's because many of the humanitarian crises the world faces today have structural roots in inequitable global power dynamics. So in Season 3 of Rethinking Humanitarianism, we're going to provide a space to reimagine global governance. That sounds lofty, I know, but think of the history. The UN, the World Bank, and many of the institutions involved in humanitarian response today were born out of the ashes of a devastating world war and a desire to prevent similar atrocities. Nearly 80 years later, we find ourselves at a similar inflection point in history, marked by climate change, pandemics, the invasion of Ukraine, the rise of China. If history is any indication, these moments present an opportunity to reimagine a new world order, one that is rooted in justice for the most marginalized and capable of addressing the challenges of our time. What would that look like? Is it even possible? And what would it take to get there? Tune in as we explore alternatives to the United Nations, climate financing, how reparations could replace aid, the concept of global public investment, and what more equitable trade policies would mean for countries in need. Join me, Hiba Ali, for Season 3 of Rethinking Humanitarianism, wherever you get your podcasts.